Hello. The time is 6:34. Let's start. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, let's talk.
One thing in which we need to talk about is time. Time is a very important commodity in which we seem to always treat time as if it doesn't matter. And in our side of the world, we will blame everybody. We will blame Akufo-Addo, blame Mahama, blame everybody. But the school we are going, in which we are paying for, look at how we are treating it. So we don't even respect ourselves to be on time for something for us. How can anyone take us seriously? Time is very important. 6:30 is 6:30. 6:10 is 6:10. 5 is 5. It's not 5, then you add 30 minutes, or it's an online class. You don't have to run to get there. You just log in at that time. You set an alarm. At that time, you are there. So please inform your friends that if it is 6:30 to 6:30, not 6:30, let's wait for people to join. No, you should be there, because I make sure I don't allow waiting so that you can be there. You should be there waiting for the class to start at that time. Okay. Today, I am assuming that all of you were able to install the Android Studio. Anybody here who could not install?
No, please. Hello.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Yeah.
I have been able to download everything, but the installation is my problem because of my laptop. So I'm trying to upgrade it by getting another maybe 4 gig to add it to it, but I've not gotten it yet. So that's the only problem now.
Okay.
Yes.
But all of you who are capable of installing have installed.
Well, I think so.
Okay, then we can continue. Please.
Okay.
As IT people, let's remember that if you strip everything off of us, our job is to install software and create software. That means that if you are finding it difficult to install this software, the career path you have chosen, there's a question mark there, because simple software you can't install. So go and install it if you have not. And if you have to, congratulations, you have done a very, very good job. And I'm very, very proud of you. Today, we are going to build an application. We are going to build a simple application to add two numbers. So I'm going to build an application for me to be able to add two numbers. Very, very simple. Now, this may seem very, very silly, but let's just do this. If I want to build an application to add two numbers, what do I need? Who can tell me?
In my opinion, you declare two variables.
Let's not get there. Hey, the code is, in my opinion, will declare, what do I need? That's all I need.
Okay.
So two variables, right? Okay, so we will need two variables. Hey, the coders, they don't play around with variables. Okay. And then, is that all I need? But don't I have to put the answer somewhere?
Yes.
Okay, so it means I need three variables. Okay, so I need three variables. Okay, that's fine. Now that I know I need three variables, with the help of Paint, let's see. So I need 3 variables, right? So here I need to draw, this is my phone. Don't laugh at me because my phone is not nice. And now that I've drawn my phone, I need a place whereby someone can enter the first variable. I need a place where someone can enter the second variable. Or let me make it look nicer. So here we do this. Great. And then I need a button over here that someone can click, right? So button. And then I need a place whereby I can show the answer. So here, so we have A, B, and then C. Okay, so I need something like this. Everybody who is learning how to code is always so fixated on the coding that they forget that it is about logic. And they forget the logic half of it. The problem you see students face a lot is they try as much as possible to learn the coding aspect so much that if you change even a dot, they become stuck. Coding is not that difficult. There is the logic half and there's the language half. The same way we had to suffer in class 1 and 2 to learn English structure. So much now that now when we are speaking English, we don't think of the structure. There will come a time whereby the language itself, you will not think of it. But the logic, how to express yourself, you must think of it every single day, and it will change. And that's what makes programming so nice. There are so many problems, and out of these problems, we are asked to find solutions for. But before you start any project, you must ask yourself the questions I did. What do I need? What I need would give me impetus into the type of application I want to develop, how the application will look. So now I know how my application should look, so I must execute it. Then I come to my Android Studio. When I click here, I'll click on new, a new project. I will choose an empty views activity. And I'll click on next. The name of my application is called Calculator, or yes, Calculator app. I'll click on finish. I have my project will load, a new project will load for me, and then I can start writing my code in that. So here's my calculator app. The old app, I'll close it to give my computer some memory. The application will build, and when it builds to the end, I can start writing my code. Now, the other time we spoke about this, but today let's dive into it some more. Every Android application written with Android Studio is grouped into 3 different parts. We have the manifest, we have the Java, and we have the XML side, or the layout side. But let me call it the XML, into brackets, layout. Now, it is under the layout side that we are going to do all our design. Do not be deceived. When you found your girlfriend or your wife or your husband, whatever you found, you did not choose them because they were ugly or because they had personality. When you saw them based on the preconceived notions you have, when you saw them, you were attracted to them. That means looks matter because, of course, once you saw the looks, then you were intrigued to go in and find out some more. Does that make sense? So if you were not intrigued, you will not go. The same way, if your app looks ugly, no one will ever use it and you will not make any money. Now, remember this, that the app itself, the app is supposed to be used by someone. So you are supposed to develop the app not only to look good, but to be functional too. So the layout gives you the ability to design your application, make your application look good, make it look like you, and make it talk to people for people to come in. The Java side is to give it its what? Functionality. The manifest side is to control the two. Because as you can see, here, the code is in Java. Here, it is in XML. There must be something in the middle telling each other what each other is doing, if that makes sense. So we are going to design our application. When we are done, we are going to write the Java code to make our application work. Back here. Oh, it's still loading. Wow. I thought by now it would be done. So let me use the other one, the class app. That one is already done. Let me quickly use that because we didn't do anything there. Yeah, it's already here. So, oh, the class app, I deleted the layout, the other things in class. Okay, let this one finish loading. And then
No.
yes.
No, madam.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Stephen, are you talking to me or someone else?
I can't imagine. No. So she's not going to back.
I think Stephen is talking to someone else.
Francis.
Oh, sorry. One second, let it load and we continue, okay? So those of you with 4 gig and so on, how do you survive?
We use it for normal stuff like creating of files and those stuff.
Hey, okay.
Sir.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I joined later, but at the time that I joined, you were talking about the installation of the application. I encountered a situation.
Okay.
When I was installing the application, after I'd installed, there is this executable file that popped up, requesting me to allow access, and the file name was adb.exe. Am I supposed to allow it? But I Googled it, and what I found out was that it was Android something bridge that allows you to connect your computer to your mobile phone. But there's a risk if you allow that. Cyber criminals can get access if only your computer is compromised. They can get access to your computer and also your mobile phone.
Festus, do you use your computer for sensitive things?
No, please.
Then allow. Okay.
Okay, sir. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It wouldn't do anything to your computer. Allow.
Okay. Thank you.
Dog, it seems he works at the presidency.
If he works at the presidency, that's fine. He is in the right position to care about his. He cares about how his application will be used and how his data will be compromised. So that's important. But for our purposes, there is not much to be afraid of. So it's not really a big deal. Okay. Oh, this thing is taking too long. One second, eh?
Okay, Doc. Okay.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
All right, sure. So everything is back now. Let's see here. So when I click here, I should see my 3 folders, the manifest, the Java, and the resource folder. In the resource folder, I should see a folder called layout. Inside the layout, I would see a folder called activity main underscore XML. Now, this file here is the file we're going to use to design our app. Okay, so as you can see here, I have Hello World over here. So I can zoom in. And as you can see, Hello World is over here. So if I run my app, I'll see Hello World there. I don't want it, so I'll click it and I will delete it. So now the Hello World is gone. There's a word in Android called the palette. In English, who can tell me what the word palette means?
The bed palette.
The word palette. Palette, what does it mean? Hey, Crawford 10 one me now, no need the palette. That thing where you ask a question, everybody will be quiet, hiding, and waiting for you to mention someone's name. That one is class 1 life. All of you here have used the word palette one time in their life. Yeah, you have palette. Your palette is not good. All of it. What does palette
This dog. Palette is more like colors, like the one they put colors on.
I see. Interesting. So the palette provides you with a range of options. You have a beautiful range. If it is, as she said, the colors palette, it provides you with all the colors in the world, whereby you can select one from. Now, that word is key here because the palette is where we will find all the tools we'll use to develop our app. So here we have the palette. So here we have all common palettes. We have text-based palettes. We have button-based palettes. We have wallet-based, widget-based palettes. We have layouts. We have containers. We have helpers. We have Googles, and then we have legacy palettes. So all of these things here are available to us. They are tools we can use to develop our application. Is that okay? Now, in the palette, I would go there and click the text-based palette. In here, I have a text view, I have a plain text, I have password numeric. Now, let me use some of these things and let's see what they give us. So here, text view provides us with a label that we can use. Plain text provides us with a square that has a bit of writing in it. Then we have password. Then we have password numeric. Over here, we have phone number. Over here, I have time. Over here, I have date. So I've just selected random things from my palette, random tools I need. I just go there, select them, and place it on my canvas so that I can design something. Now, over here, I've just placed things there at random. I'm going to start my emulator. Okay, and run my app through my emulator. But while that one is building and it is running, let's have a discussion on the things I have done here. The things I have done here is I have gone for a text box here. Here, it is a plain text. That means that anybody can type whatever they want in there. They can type a name, age, date of birth, anything they want to type, they can type it in there. Over here, the next thing I selected was the password. It means that the only thing I can type in here is passwords. So when I'm typing in there, they will be hidden to come as star, 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 star. Over here, I can type in here numerical passwords. So it means that if the person has to type like a PIN or a passcode or a OTP, I would use numeric because that person, the keyboard presentation will present to the person in a way that they can't type letters. Over here, I chose, what did I choose here? Yes, I chose phone number. That means that the keyboard will be formatted in a way that the person can easily type their phone number. Same thing here for time, and same thing here for what? Date. That means that the keyboard will automatically recognize that the input there is going to be time. The person's key tab will change into a time variant for the person to be able to key those things. Does that make sense?
So, Doc,
Yes.
please, if I'm getting you right, this one looks like more or less like Visual Basics. Like where you select your, where like you put you are designing like more or less like I don't know how
It is like Visual Basic.
okay.
It is like Visual Basic. The way Visual Basic, you go and select them and kind of put it in. It's the same thing. But
Yeah.
you are selecting from the palette, and in Visual Basic, you are selecting from the tools. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Great. Now, over here, I do not need the things which are here. I don't need them. So you can see that my targeted device is popping up very, very slowly. I am running numerous things in the background of my computer. So my computer is running very, very slow. Forgive me. But my phone is coming up. Ooh, my phone has come. Now, when the phone comes up, something will happen. When the app runs, all of the things I did here will all go and be fixed into the corner. Can we see that? The way I put them here is not the way it displayed on the screen. Can we see that?
Yes.
Why is that? Why did that happen? Now, an important thing we have to recognize.
Please.
An important thing we have to recognize. An important thing that we have to recognize is that this thing here behaves like a container filled with water. It changes its entire outlook based on how the thing is held and how the thing moves. So automatically, nothing here is base. It's like when you pour, if you have a jar of water and you pour sand in it, it will always go to the bottom. So everything will always be pushed to the top because there is no form on it. Hence, we have to conform it and give it its layout. What that means is I have to tell the computer that for this thing here, you can see if I click on the screen, where the circle is, if I put the cursor there, it turns into, it highlights another circle around it for me. If I click and I drag, you can see that it drags up, it drags down. I'll drag it to the side. I'll drag it to this side too. And here I've done what is called a constraint layout. You can see that these things here look like springs because they are. They are keeping it there. They are keeping it fixed in there. It is fixed. It cannot be moved. Just like how the spring will hold it. So even if you shake your phone or whatever, this thing here would be constrained to that position. So this form of layouting is called constraint layout. There's another one called relative layout, but in another example, I'm building another app, we can use that. But for our purposes here, we're going to be using constraint layout for most of the things in which we do. How did I do it again? I'll put the cursor on the round thing, click, drag to the bottom, click here, drag to the top, click the side, drag it to the side. Why do you guys keep unmuting yourselves and then making noise? You're already muted. Or if you want to ask a question, then you unmute. Great. Now, of course, I can do the same thing for all of them, but as I am very, very lazy, what I will do is I would go for all the constraints I did from here, and then I would transfer them to each one using code. And yes, this is how the code or the backend to the diagram you have looks like. We will get there. But for our purposes today, we want to stick to the design side, because when we stick to the design side, people will not run away. So let me go back to the design side. So I have just placed everything on top of each other. So I'll just remove them. I can see that in doing so, all my constraints are there. Wonderful. And then the final constraint I have text view, which I'll bring to the top here. That's great. So now, if I rerun my app again, let me bring this to the bottom here. Good. I rerun my app again. Everything being equal, my app would run, it will build, or to check all the codes and make sure everything is correct and very, very good. And after checking everything, it will launch the app. And once the app is launched, it is installing it onto my phone. And when it is done, it will pop up here for us to see that the things will not be moving wherever they want to move again. Everything would be at where they are supposed to be, because now the layout is what? Constrained. It is no more flabbing about and then doing whatever it wants again. Each and every single layout is constrained to a particular position. Okay, so as we can see here, if I click in here, the keyboard will respond to me by typing in exactly what I want to type. So where it is supposed to type in letters, it will show on over here. You can see that this is for the numeric. So my keyboard here is only what? Numeric. When I type in something in the other section, it will take in that shape, so that it will only type in that piece of what? Information. Why are we going through all of this? Why am I wasting my time explaining this? Because again, we are going to develop an application to add two numbers, as I drew over here. So here I'm going to enter number 1. Here I'm going to enter number 2. Here I'm going to enter the answer, or display the answer. So over here, the user is supposed to enter only numerical values. Over here, the user is only supposed to enter numerical values. That means it is upon me, the designer, to make sure that anything the user enters over here is going to be what? Numeric in nature. So any information that comes in here should come from the numerical text view. So here I have the numerical text view. I will constrain it, because if I don't constrain it, everything will be moved to the left, the top left-hand corner, and I don't want that for my design. I'll place it in the middle. I would use the up and down keys to open it up and get the desired length. And once I get the desired length, I'll let go. I'll click on it, click Ctrl+C, click Ctrl+V. It makes a copy for me, and I'll bring the copy to the bottom. I'll click on it, press Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. I'll bring that one to the midsection here. I would go and click on buttons, click on a button, and then drag my button, click on my button, and then come and drag my button in here. So here I have a button. Of course, I would drag the button so that it is the same length as this. Wonderful. And I'll drag this into wonderful. So here I have a button. What's wrong with this button? It is not constrained. So I would constrain it by dragging it to the bottom. Note that the easiest way for me to write code, but since we are doing design today, the easiest way for us to constrain it is the way I'm showing you. So now this is what? Constrained. Ta-da. And we constrained over here. Now this button here, it looks a bit slender. So let me bring this down, push this one up a bit so that it becomes a bit bigger. So now this is my layout. This is my design. And the answer is supposed to appear here. Of course, I can make the answer a text box, but today, just so that there was some difference and there's some variety, I will choose a text view as my answer. So I'll leave it like this. Now, any questions at this point?
Hello, sir.
Question? Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I realize that on the palette, there were numbers. We have, I think, number. I didn't see this. I think number decimal also. We have the number. Under the number, we have the number into bracket SIG. Number signed, number decimal. Why are we not using, since the answer might, since we are doing that for calculation, the number might be decimal. So why are we not choosing the decimal instead of why are we choosing the number instead of the number decimal? Yeah, what's the difference between the signed and then the decimal numbers? The numbers over there.
Tobo. That will be something that means who in the sign then the decimal number. Okay. Anyway, that's it. First of all, I said we are writing an application to add two numbers. Did you hear me say we are writing an application to add two decimal numbers?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that is number one. Number two, if I was writing an application to add 2 decimal numbers, then yes, I would choose that symbol. Okay, if I was writing an application to add 2 decimal numbers, then it makes sense for me to choose that symbol. But in our case, I am not doing that. So there is no need for me to choose that. Now, as IT people who have done maths, I don't think me answering the question of what is signed is a very good sight, but no yawa. A signed variable is positive or negative. So if my variable is signed, it means it has either a positive value or a negative value. That is, if I choose number signed, it means that the person can either enter a positive or a negative number as the designation of his number. In this scenario, I do not want someone to enter a positive or negative number. Hence, choosing this is not for me. Exactly.
Yes, please.
And the second thing too is that the reason why I told you people to install the application is so that the moment the class ends, you can go and try. IT people have stopped trying. All we care about is Charlie, they go, they work. But you should try, have fun, let the application fail, let it not fail. The more you try, the more you understand. So when class closes, you pick each one, try it, see if the application will run, what type of input it is. Then you would also know the type of input you are using. Exactly.
Yes, please.
1 second.
Hello. Is someone?
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
coming. My
yes.
PC is going off, so I'm just starting it. Okay. Now, since nobody has a question about the layout and the things they need, right? Let's move strictly to this section here, each of them. Let's watch carefully on the side here. Watch the side here where you see attributes on the on my screen. This is the right-hand side. So on your right-hand side, each one I click on, you see that things start to change over here. Can we see that? Because each element you have here has an attribute. So each element here has an attribute. Now, for each of these things here, we must assign attributes to them. The first attribute we assign to it is the ID attribute. The ID attribute gives it its unique system name. The name you put here should be something unique and should be used to identify it and it alone. So here, I'm going to type in txt number 1. Over here, I'm going to type in, yes, refractor. Here, I'm going to type in txt number 2. Over here, the button, I'm going to call the button. So I'll click on it, then I'll go to ID, and in ID, I'll type btn answer. Then over here, I'm going to click on the text view, and in here, I'm going to type in answer, word answer. So now on this screen here, the name of this is txt number 1. The name of this is txt number 2. Did I? Okay. txt number 2. The name of this is BTN answer, and the name of this is ID. It is answer. Now, in here again, I'm going to look for the text property of the text view. And whatever that is in the text property, I'm going to remove it and make it nothing. You can see that immediately the text view is gone. It's not gone, it's still there. But this text property has been made what? Nothing. Again, let me make this thing very clear, because
Good evening, sir.
Hey.
Hello.
This point needs to be made very clear. And what is that point? In the text property, there's the ID property and the text property. The text property controls all the physical display you see. So it controls all the display. Any writing you see on your application, this is where it comes from. It comes from the text property. Over here, we have the ID property. This is the unique system name. This is the name we give to the system or the element. This is the unique name we would refer to it by. So each of us here has a name. We have a nickname, but this is our name. So anytime I want to display something on my screen, for example, over here on the button, when I click on it and I go and look for its text property, you can see what is there, button. If I want to remove that thing from there, I will look for the text property, delete it. In the text property, I can put in the get what? Answer. And this does not affect this in any way system-wise. It is just the name that will be displayed on the screen for someone to what? See. Any questions? Are there any questions? From this point, we are going into our Java code. I was told that you people are very, very good in Java. Is that true? Say no.
No, Prof, no.
Oh, don't lie. The person who told me people can code Java, he said, oh, I know you have to say, you are the guru. Oh,
I'm managing, Prof.
It's a different class, not us.
Oh, so the person lied to me. Oh.
We are not seeing top at all, Prof.
Okay.
When it comes to Java, no.
We are going to be writing our backend code using, as I said, Java. Everything we would write there would be Java. So let's begin. I am going to go to my Java side. How will I get to my Java side? I will click on project, click on Java, click on the COM example calculator app. That's the name of my app. If you give it a different name, to be COM example, the name you give your application. Now click on manage a main activity. So here, I'll click on main activity. All the code we write will be on the onCreate method. Why? Because on the creation of our app, we are going to execute the code we have over here. So what do we do? In here, I'm going to tell Java I have a private edit text And the private edit text I have, I'm going to call that private edit text num1. I have another private edit text, and I'm going to call this what? num2. I'm going to call this private button, and my button is going to be called add. And I have another private text view, and then I'm going to call that result. Now, as you can see, these two things here are red. Why are red? Because they are telling us, the Android studio is asking me, are you referring to the Android widget button? And yes, that's what I'm referring to. So watch what happens over here at the importing side. When I press alternate and enter, it is going to ask me, do I want to import it? When I say yes, it will import it for me, and then the red goes away. The same thing for this. It is asking me, am I creating my own edit text, or do I want the one that comes from Android? I said yes to it, so I press alternate enter, and it will be what? Imported for me. So I have all of these things. What have I done here? And here is where we need to have this discussion. This is where the programming comes in. This is what makes you the programmer. What have I done here? Now, the thing in which I have here, in which I'll ask you guys is, if I have 1 plus 1, what would be the answer? Who can tell me? Hey, where should this anybody? Okay.
2.
2. Who agrees with him?
Dog, it's 2.
2. Okay. Now, what if I told you that it's a lie? What if I told you that all this time you have been lied to by every single math teacher you had? Because if I ask you this same question again, the people who answered this question are going to tell me that the answer is different. Let's see. So I think Labi answered and some other guy. Labi, what is 1 cow plus 1 boot?
The answer will be 0.
You better say 2 or some minus
2 animals.
2 animals. Why they okay? Yeah, man.
2 animals. No. So it can't. You can't get
1 plus 1 is not 2. 1 plus 1 of the same kind is 2. But of course, if you are learning how to do math and they tell you 1 plus 1 of the same kind is 2, before you mention the same kind, you have forgotten you're even doing 1 plus 1. You understand? So they just tell you 1 plus 1 is 2, they are happy. But at a certain age, you must realize that this here is an implied statement. That means 1 plus 1 of something that is of the same kind is equal to what? 2. So that means that if I have my code in XML and I have my code in Java, I can't make them work. I can't make it work. It's impossible. This is code here is in XML. This code here is in Java. How do I make the two talk together? That means that if I have a variable in XML, I must create a corresponding variable in what? Java, so that I can be able to use it. But this variable here is in Java, let's not forget. This variable here is in XML, let's not forget. So how do I make the computer know that whenever I call this, I am referring to this? And whenever I call on this thing here, I am referring to what? This. How will I let the computer do that? The first thing I need to do is I need to create a unique name in XML. Have I done that? Yes. Remember in layout, I clicked here, I went to ID, and then I typed in what? TXT number 1. So I've done that. I've created a unique name in the XML side. I need to now create a unique name in the Java side. So here I'm telling the Java that, oh, on my page, there is some edit text. That is the things people type in is called edit text. And I want you to call that thing there number 1. So now I have a variable created in my Java. I have another variable created on my screen. Now I have to bind the two together. I have to make sure the two know that each of them belong to each other. How will I do that? Over here, I am going to type in number 1 is equal to. Now, the computer should make sure that it is going to find an edit text. That is why the bracket is there. That means that anything I find, conform it to make sure it is an edit text. If it is not, don't allow it. Now, I want you to go and find me something using its what? ID. So find by ID. And the thing you are finding by ID, you will find it inside the resource folder. And inside the resource folder, go and look for all the things that have an ID. And when you find all the things that have an ID, look for the thing that has an ID called what? Number 1. And you can see that each time I click, it keeps on coming. Again, I'm going to tell the computer that I have number 2. Make sure it is equal to an edit text. Find it by viewing the IDs. Inside the resource folder, look through all the IDs and make sure you find something with an ID what? Number 2. I'm telling the computer again that I have a button. And the button should be found as and maintained as a what? A button. And when you find it, how will you find it? You're going to find it using this ID. So in the resource folder, again, when I click on the button here, the name I gave it was what? BTN answer. So inside the resource folder, and you can see that the layout folder is in the resource folder. So inside the resource folder, look for an ID. And when you find that ID, make sure that ID is called what? BTN what? Answer. And finally, over here, it should be add, right? Good. And finally, I have a result variable. In here, I want you to make sure that the result variable is a text view, and you're going to find it by ID in the resource folder using the ID, and we call this what? Answer. So here, I have just binded the Java code to the XML code so that anytime I refer to number 1, I'm referring to TXT number 1. And anytime I refer to TXT number 1, I'm referring to number 1 because of this binding code. So now all the elements on my screen have been binded on this page. Next step. At what point in time here, let's look at this critically. Look at this very, very well. On my screen here, the code I have here, at what point in time would a user want to see his answer? A user would want to see his or her answer when I click on what? Get answer. So it means that on me clicking the button, that is when my answer should be generated. So I'm going to tell the computer that go and take the button. How does me typing add mean go and take the button? I have told the computer that the button on my screen, which is called BTN answer, I have given it to what? Add. So whenever I refer to add, I am referring to the button on my screen called BTN answer. So again, go and take the button. And when you take the button, go and listen to it. So I'm going to set an on-click listener. So set on-click listener. And what is the job of the on-click listener? It is to listen to the button and wait for someone to click on the button. when someone clicks on the button, I am going to perform a new view on Click Listener. That means that anything I type in this section here, the section I just commented out here, when you click on the button, that code is going to run. Why? Because the computer is listening to the add button for it to execute the code that is going to be there. Now, what do I want to do? Again, you are an IT student, hence your logic should run. When I click the button here, what is the first thing that should happen? The thing that user typed in box A and box B here should be collected. What does that mean? It means that I should create an integer variable, call that integer variable number 1, and then make it equal to number 1 dot get the elements ID. So text field dot what to string. So here I'm telling the computer that go and get me number 1. So it goes to get you number 1. What is number 1? Number 1 is txt number 1. Okay. Now in txt number 1, go and look for its text property and bring me that. So to go here, go and look for the text property of it. That is this place here, and bring you what is there. Why is that important? Because whenever you type something in here, you are typing in the text property. Whenever I am typing something in get button here, I am typing what? In the text property. That is, if I click here on the button, what do you see here in the text property? Get answer. That means anything you type on the screen, anytime you display something on your screen, it is the text property that contains that thing you have typed. Hence, if you type something in this text box here, it is the text property that you are typing in. And when you go and get the text property, you want to make sure that the text property is a string. Because whatever the person types is going to be saved as a word, string. There's a problem here, and our code is underlined. Why is our code underlined? This is underlined because the int here means that whatever this thing is bringing, what I've highlighted, is supposed to be an integer. Is it an integer? It is not. It is a string, because you even told the computer that make sure it is a what? String. Hence, I have to tell the computer that whatever in which you are going to collect, make sure you transform it into a what? Integer. So now the red mark is gone. I'll highlight this again. I'll come here, I'll paste this and change this to 2 and change this one here into what? 2. So immediately I have gone to collect the first number and the second number that the user did. Now I must sum them up. So int sum is equal to number 1 plus number 2. Now, the result in which we are keeping in a variable called result dot set text property. I use the get set property to go and fetch information from my database. But the set text property is what I use to go and put information. Oh, I said get information from my screen, sorry. The set property is what I use to set a component's text on the screen. So I am telling the computer that I want you to set the property. And what am I setting? Answer space equal to, and here I'll bring a plus to concatenate them. And here I'll put in what? Sum. But this is wrong. Why is this wrong? It's wrong because the set text property only takes strings. That means that I have to transform the integer here from an integer to a string. Look at this. I changed it from a string to an integer just to add it, and now I have to transform it back. How do I transform it back? I have to use string dot value of, And in the value of, I'll put in my sum. That means that now my code is perfect. Now, when I run this, it should be able to add two numbers for me and give me my answer. Let's try it and see. Let's try it and see. Let's see if we add these things, they would give us the answer we desire. So I've just connected my phone to the I've connected my phone to the computer. I think the emulator takes a lot of time, so I'm going to use my phone to run it. And of course, if I'm going to use my phone to run it, I need the Scrappy, right? Of course, those of you who are chisel and don't want to pay a lot of money buying DSTV, it means you use the Scrappy to connect to your phone, and you use one of those illegal apps, plug it to the TV, and away, Charlie, you get a Champions League full square. It's not easy. So over here, I have the Scrappy loaded. I have my phone here. Great. And then in here, I'm going to, can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I'm going to run the app. So the app is running. As you can see down here, it will build. Hopefully, I don't have any error. I've been writing code for a long time now, so I briefly, there's no error. And there's no error. It is installing. Wow. So the app will install on my phone. It has. And as you can see, I have this as my phone. Of course, I have dark mode on. That is why the background is black. But over here, I can just type in 20. And guess what happens? When I click on it, the keyboard is numeric. Why is it numeric? Because we chose the numeric word option. So it is only giving me numerical word values. And the guy who asked the question, if he chose decimal, it means that the decimal points and things will be working. But we didn't choose that one. We just wanted numerical values. And here I want what? 20. And when I click on this, it tells me that my answer should appear at the bottom here. And look at where the answer is appearing. It's appearing at the top here. Add.set 20. Can we see that? That means that this thing here did not what? Conform. So it is not in the right position that it's supposed to be. So let's go and fix that. Is that all right? Let's go and fix that immediately. So I'll go to my layout. In my layout, I'll go and look for, finding it is going to be very, okay, here it is. And yes, we didn't conform it. So let me just quickly conform it to the side, to this side, and then to that side. And then let me bring it down here again. And then let me rerun the app. So I'm rerunning the app again. Wonderfully. And now when I press in 20 here and 20 here, and I click on this, 20, it should tell me that my answer is what? 48. So my app is working. I have a nice app to do simple calculations that will tell me the answer. Of course, this thing being at the bottom here, every time it is hidden. So what I'll do is I'll click it here. Okay. I'll click it over here and I'll move it to the top here. Okay. So that when it is done, the answer would show at the top. So let me rerun it again. Running it through my phone again. I think the Scrappy ended. So let me rerun the Scrappy again. Wonderful. So here again, when I press 14 and 14 and I press this, it tells me that my answer is 28. Over here, when I add this and I press, it tells me it is this. When I remove that, it tells me it is 15. So my app is working. The app is working perfectly. Again, when you are dealing with students, you must be very, yes.
Doug, I'm not seeing you clicking on the answer button. Is it automatic? Something like when?
Oh no,
when
I'm clicking
you
it.
type-
I'm clicking it on my phone.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm sorry. Let me click on it on the keyboard. I'm sorry. See, get answer. Then it comes. You see, I am clicking it on my phone. I'm sorry. So here, when I click on the get answer, you see, it's not automatic. Yes, I click on it on my phone, but you can't see me clicking on it. And my screen is also touch screen. So when I tap it, you see that whenever I tap it, it changes, the color dims and comes back up. Can you see that?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, when you're dealing with students, there's some things in which you have to say very quickly. They see the code here and they go, "Into code way now, we pen here." Yes, we pen here. So you have to practice. Practice is very important. That's number one. You cannot have a defeatist mentality whereby you see the thing and then you want to stop. It doesn't work that way. There's a reason why I use the first lecture to only talk about setup. And today we are building a simple app to add 2 numbers. As we progress, we'll be building more complex apps. But your job is to practice. Practice, practice, practice. This would be recorded and sent to you. Everything here works. The app works. You can see why we did everything. I left the errors in, why it was red. Why is it that here I did the impasse? Why? Each thing, why? And then once you know why, you can do whatever you want to do on your own. Again, nowadays I have, before we go away, nowadays I have been trying to get myself fit, go to the gym, lose some weight, get my body ready for December. So nowadays I'm on a fitness craze. So today you would have an assignment. Your job is to go and build an application to do BMI. Your job is to calculate the BMI of a person. The calculation of BMI is online. If you go online, you would find the calculation of BMI. It is not something that you need to suffer yourself to find. Are we okay? So the BMI, it's I think is mass height, or BMI. And by the way, if you don't know what BMI is, that means you are not living your life well because you are not healthy. So you must know it by now. So your job is to build an app to calculate the BMI. When we come next week, we will take turns demonstrating how the app works. And luckily for our course, those of you who always say that, I couldn't connect on my computer because internet is not working. The app will have to be on your phone. So even if the internet is not working on your computer, it is on your phone. So you show it to us through your phone. So there's no running away. There's no, no. There's no excuse that is going to work when we come into the class next week. So the calculation of BMI is online. Go do some research as IT people, find out what BMI is, get yourself healthy, and write a simple application that will ask somebody their weight and their height and calculate the BMI. Again, it is the same thing in which we did for the calculation of 2 numbers. You ask the person, instead of asking the person for number 1 and number 2, you ask for the weight and then the height. And when you click answer, it should give you their BMI calculation. Are there any questions? Are there any questions?
Hello, Doc.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Doc, I'm using the MacBook Pro, the computer, and I installed the Android Chipmunk.
Okay.
Now, with the Scrappy, will I get the MacBook version, or I have to be using the emulator for now?
Have to be using the emulator for now. But what you can do to bring it on your phone is you can go and click on APK. You can click on build. Are we okay? And when you click on build, you can go and click on build APK. So when you click on this, it will give you the APK version of the app that you can send to yourself and install. Those of you in this place who have ever installed SoccerBet, that is the same way you install SoccerBet. So if you have installed SoccerBet in this place before, SportyBet or whatever bet, that is the same way. So over here, as you can see, the APK is built. So when I click on locale, it is going to open a folder that has my apps APK. So over here, this is what I will send to Play Store to tell them, oh, I have built an app and I want to put it on Play Store. This is what I can send to people for them to try. So if you want the app on your phone or on an Android phone, this is what you'll be sending to them, okay? So if you want to transfer them, you can send them with this. But for now, the SQL copy, I don't know the Mac version of it. I don't know if there's a Mac version of it. Any other questions? Ask now or forever hold your silence.
Doc,
Mm-hmm.
Doc, this one, you let me ask. I'm a bit confused. Do you connect the phone to the, let's say, the USB to the laptop to be able to?
I need to use the Scrappy. I'm only using it to demonstrate it to you guys. But yes, you need to connect. The phone needs to be connected to the device. So once you on the Scrappy, I showed you how to do it in the last video, on the last class, sorry. But once you put on the Scrappy, it comes in a folder form like this. Like this is how the Scrappy looks like. Let me show you. So over here, I've closed it. Do you understand? I've closed it.
Yeah.
So the moment I double tap this, it will open a command line for me. It will run it and then my phone pops up. But my phone and my computer are connected together. That's all it is. Nothing complex. But my phone's USB debugging has to be what? On. We spoke about that in the last class. How to make your phone developer, how to get it connected.
Okay.
Yes. So if you have forgotten that, go and watch the other class.
Yes.
Remember, you are to build an application to calculate the BMI of a person. You would enter their weight and height and tell the person what his BMI is. Your app should be working. There is no excuse that is going to fly. The only excuse you have next week when I call you, is that Jesus Christ came and took you and then left the rest of us because we are sinners. Apart from that excuse, there is no other excuse that will matter. Everyone here is supposed to build an app to calculate the BMI, and it should be working fully on your computer, emulator, or on your phone. Wherever you want to work, it should work. And you should be able to demonstrate it. Because as you can see today alone, I've demonstrated it with my emulator, with my phone, and I've been able to present to you for it to work. So if I can do it, you should also be able to do it. There's no excuse.
Hello, Doc.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Please, how many decimal places should we use it?
For the BMI?
Or it's open? Yes.
Oh, it's open to you. Like one decimal place.
Okay.
One decimal place. And for those of you who do not, I can't believe I have to tell you people what BMI is, but those of you who do not know what BMI is, when you go online, you will find it. Because here is the BMI. tell you if you are overweight, underweight, if you need health. You know, as I said, nowadays I'm on a health craze. I'm preparing my body for December. The way I'm raising the muscle, you should be afraid of it. So now, go and do the BMI for me. And before we go and close for today, as I was telling the people who started the class, time is very important. The class is starting at 6:30 to 6:30. It's not 6:31, or when it is 6:30, then you are now coming to join. You should have joined already, because I make sure waiting room is not there. So when you join, you already joined. Join 2 minutes. When I come, we just start. Then we close on time, and we can do other things we need to do. Is that okay? And please go have fun, try to develop the app, make mistakes. When we come next week, tell me your mistakes, tell me the correct things you did, and have fun with building the app. It shouldn't be laborious. Anyway, we'll meet again next week if there are no more questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. See you next week, and I hope to see some nice apps. And it should look good, oh.
Yes, sir. It should look good, don't worry.
I'll make the video available tomorrow, okay?
Okay, sir.